Fresh off a meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un that saw history-making images plastered on screens around the globe, President Trump is zeroing on another headline-making summit, one with Russian President Vladimir Putin. National Security Advisor John Bolton is heading to Moscow next week to discuss a potential meeting between the two leaders. A summit could provide the opportunity to push Putin on his misdeeds: the invasion of Ukraine, support for the Syrian regime, the poisoning of an ex-spy in England, and interference in US and other Western elections. There's no point in having a summit unless you're going to stand up to Putin, said Niall Gardner, director of the Conservative Heritage Foundation's Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom. But it's not clear Trump is looking for a confrontational summit with the Russian leader. Trump has frequently talked of how it would be a good thing if he could improve relations with Russia, despite all the difficulties Moscow has caused previous administrations. It's been a source of frustration to some Republicans, including Senator John McCain Arizona and Marco Rubio Republican Florida. After Trump congratulated Putin on his re-election win in March, McCain and other GOP senators unleashed on the president. An American president does not lead the free world by congratulating dictators on winning sham elections, McCain said. Trump and Putin have met in person twice since Trump office, once on the sidelines of the G20 and again on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. Now, a Trump-Putin summit is reportedly being eyed for mid-July when Trump is traveling to Europe for a NATO summit and a visit to the United Kingdom. Trump first floated the idea for a summit with Putin during that phone call, and also suggested the former KGB spy visit the White House. In defending the call, Trump said he and Putin would meet to discuss the arms race. I suspect that we'll probably be meeting in the not-too-distant future to discuss the arms race, which is getting out of control, Trump told reporters in March. But we will never allow anybody to have anything even close to what we have. Trump did not elaborate on what he meant by an arms race. But the United States has accused Russia of violating a landmark arms control treaty and of adopting a policy of escalate to de-escalate, in which Moscow would be willing to use a nuclear weapon early on in a conflict. In response, the Trump administration's nuclear posture review calls for a so-called low-yield nuclear warhead. Trump has cast himself as a decider-in-chief, turning the diplomatic process on its head. The idiosyncrasy was on full display earlier this month during the summit with Kim, as the president mostly put aside warnings that the meeting would amount to a propaganda win for Kim. Trump appeared to bask in headlines noting the historic nature of the Kim summit, a dynamic that may be in play with the Putin summit. Just the visuals coming out of a summit with Putin, Trump may see as politically advantageous, the focus being more on the photo op than actually resolving any of the issues in the relationship, said Alexander Vershbow, a former Deputy Secretary General of NATO who is now at the Atlantic Council. As with the Kim meeting, however, there are risks. And they might even be greater, politically, in a meeting with Putin. Images of Trump looking chummy with a man the international community has been trying to isolate could reinforce the idea that Trump is soft on Moscow. And they could come back to haunt him depending on the results of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. U.S. Russia relations have been rocky since Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, a move Western nations say was illegal, and then backed separatists elsewhere in eastern Ukraine. Outside of Ukraine, the United States and Russia have been at odds over Syria, where Moscow backs President Bashar Assad. As recently as Thursday, the State Department warned Russia of serious repercussions of Assad violating a de-escalation zone in southwest Syria. Moscow was also accused in March of using a military-grade nerve agent to carry out an attack on former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter, Yulia, in England, the first use of a nerve agent on NATO territory since the alliance's founding. Still, Trump has repeatedly expressed admiration for Putin, calling him a strong leader and a talented person. Meanwhile, Mueller continues to investigate Russia's interference in the 2016 presidential election and whether the Trump campaign had any connections to it, an investigation Trump has dismissed as a witch hunt. The Trump administration has stood firm against Russia in a number of ways, Gardner said, such as the U.S. military